Hi there, this is Margaret, and welcome back to Radiant Wholeness. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to stop overgiving in your relationships. If you've got a big heart, then let's face it, it's in your nature to care for other people, to be a giver, to be a nurturer. But overgiving is actually a form of self-sabotage. You end up working way too hard in your relationships, getting taken advantage of, and feeling like your needs don't matter. So let's get you back in balance so that you can feel and experience more fulfillment and joy in your relationships and more self-love and peace in your heart.
As always, before we get started, make sure you hit the bell and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss a thing. Welcome to Radiant Wholeness, the soulful sanctuary for big-hearted high achievers longing to cultivate more joy, fulfillment, and inner peace. I'm your host, Margaret, and I'm an expert at helping high achievers create the life their soul is longing for. I'm a published author and a master life coach, and I'm all about creating massive social impact while loving yourself, speaking your truth, and connecting with the divine on the inside. Now let's dive in.
Make sure you stay till the end of this video because I've got a very special opportunity to share with you about self-love, and only the people who watch to the end of this video are going to have access to that. So stay tuned. All right, now let's start by defining the difference between joyous giving and overgiving. So joyous giving comes from a generous place, which implies that you have taken care of your own needs, and therefore you have this overflowing cup that you naturally can put forth energy into the world. So it comes from this full heart. And overgiving, on the other hand, it is not that ultimate form of selflessness that you might have been taught. Instead, overgiving actually comes from a fear of not being enough, or of being abandoned, or not being able to fit in. And so you end up giving and giving and giving, hoping that it's going to make you feel appreciated or good about yourself, or because you just feel guilty or morally obligated to do so. And so as you can see, this is two very, very different forms of giving. And I really invite you to explore whether you're giving from this joyous place of overflow or from a depleted and fearful place. And the way that you can know that is just by feeling into what's inside as you're giving. So joyful giving feels light and easy, and it's unattached to getting any kind of response from this other person. Whereas this overgiving is very heavy because it's desperately attached to feeling good enough and getting your needs met, and really it's coming from fear, and it's usually one way. Now, if you're an overgiver, like I used to be, then you know how much it's costing you to be overgiving in this way. First and foremost, I bet your relationships are pretty unfulfilling. They feel one-sided, and eventually they become loaded with resentment and regret. Second, when you're overgiving, you're usually not practicing enough self-care because you're so busy, meeting everybody else's needs that you don't remember to care about yourself. So you get overwhelmed and exhausted. And finally, overgiving takes a massive toll on your self-esteem because you start to feel like nobody loves you and like you're not worthy of all that love you give to other people. And so this is a huge cost to you, and it really inhibits your ability to feel good on a daily basis. But don't worry there, because you're in good hands with me now. I'm going to take you through the 5 steps that you should take so you stop overgiving and you come into a more balanced, fulfilling, joyful way of relating to people, and you learn how to feel good about who you are without having to always overgive and overdo in exhaustion. First step to stopping the overgiving is to recognize the reward that you are receiving from overgiving. So I know that sounds kind of funny because you might think, me receiving a reward? No, when I'm giving, other people are receiving the reward. But that's not true. You, in fact, are addicted to a particular reward you get to receive from giving that you don't know how to get any other way. So typically, for most of the clients that I work with, they receive the reward of safety, or they receive the reward of belonging, or they receive the reward of self-esteem. So I'll give you an example for me personally. For me, giving always really made me feel like I belonged. In circles of people, I always knew how to feel like I could immediately be a part of the circle because, and feel like I had a niche and a role in that circle, in that community, because I was a great giver. I gave great compliments, I gave great attention, great listening, great paying attention to people's needs and figuring out how to make those needs met. And so people needed me. And I felt needed, and that gave me this sense of belonging. And that was amazing. That's really the only way I ever knew how to belong, by really, really overgiving and giving and giving and giving to people's needs. And I had no other way to feel belonging. I had no other way of understanding what that meant. A lot of other people receive self-esteem, meaning they've been told all their lives, and maybe this will resonate with you, they've been told all their lives that it's going to make them a better person. It makes them a really good person to be selfless and to, put others' needs before their own and, prioritize service all the time. And so they've been given this sense of self-esteem, like kind of that moral superiority of like, I just give and I just care for everybody else and I put people in front of me. And we have a lot of kind of religious traditions that also can contribute to that message that when we give and we serve others, that makes us more, morally buoyant. And of course, giving and caring about others does in fact fulfill us and help us, bring us closer to spirit, because it's beautiful. But overgiving from a place of fear is not actually that true love, right? It's not actually that true compassion. It's more, like I said, rooted in needing to feel good about yourself so that you do it, rather than that being a genuine thing. So figure out, what is the need that you get met? What is the reward that you get to experience? Is it self-esteem? Is it belonging? Is it feeling like you're safe in a relationship? What is the reward that you get to experience when you are overgiving? The second step to stopping the overgiving is to healing that inner child within you who developed this strategy for getting the reward. So the strategy is overgiving, right? That's how you're getting a particular reward. And the thing is that you learned that strategy at some point when you were a child. So I have a client, for example, who's a huge overgiver. Not only is she a nurse, she works extra hours. She'll, take private. She'll give away her cell phone number to her clients and her patients, and she'll just constantly be working and giving, and, not just at work, but also in her family, right, and everywhere else. And when we looked at her relationship with her childhood and everything that happened in her childhood, it was very clear that whenever she would say no, she was the oldest of 6 kids, and whenever her parents would tell her to, do something for her siblings, take care of her siblings, anytime she would say no, anytime she wanted to go do something for herself or, put herself first, not take care of her siblings, but be a kid, she was really chastised and scolded and say, how dare you think of yourself? We have all these other kids to take care of. And so she learned that she was unlovable and unsafe when she was putting herself first as a kid, right? Now, this isn't anybody's fault. It's not like her parents wanted her to learn this lesson eternally, right? It's just what they all had to kind of do to survive, probably in her home, and the best that anybody knew. But she internalized this messaging that I get safety. I get to feel good and lovable and safe when I am giving and never putting any attention or care on myself. And so her healing really required her going back to herself as a child. And in my work, we do this in meditation and through hypnosis and a lot of really great, deep work to get to that real subconscious holding that our childhood experiences create within us. And she went inside and she started just talking to that inner child and saying, listen, I know that in order to feel safe and lovable by mom and dad, you had to overgive. You had to always put other people ahead of you, and that made you feel safe, but that's not what you need anymore. Now we're going to develop a new form of love, which is more balanced, and you're going to be able to feel safe whether or not you're always giving, because I'm going to protect you. And so you become this parent to the child who learned this kind of maladaptive way of getting their needs met, right? Whether it be safety or belonging or self-esteem, like we talked about before. You want to go and visit your inner child and let them know that they don't have to pursue that strategy in order to be lovable and safe and get their needs met and get their rewards anymore. Third step to stopping that overgiving in your relationships is finding a new way to getting that reward that you get from overgiving, to getting that need met. So let me talk to you for a minute about the science of habit formation. So if you read anything about long-term behavior change, then what we understand is that if you want to stop a habit and you're in the habit of overgiving, you need to figure out what is the reward you get from that habit and find a new strategy to get the same reward. And so if, for example, if you want to quit smoking, what does smoking help you do? Smoking helps you relax. That's one big reward that people get. It really, calms your nervous system. So people who just try to go cold turkey from smoking without having multiple other ways to relax built in as new coping mechanisms to replace that strategy, right? They'll never succeed. They need new strategies to get the same reward of relaxation from, let's say, smoking cigarettes, right? That they used to get. So maybe they would instead meditate. Maybe they would instead get to take a really nice bath. Maybe they would have, other herbal supplements that really help support their relaxation. Only by being able to have a new strategy, but still get the reward, because that's what your brain is addicted to, is the reward emotionally, can they stop smoking. And so the same thing is true for overgiving. It's a habit. And you want to find new ways to get that same reward, whatever it is, safety, self-esteem, belonging, that doesn't include giving. You need a new strategy for the same reward. So my work in Radiant Wholeness, my coaching practice, is all about teaching people how to get the rewards from the inside, right? So if you are overgiving for safety, one thing that I want to teach you is to say, okay, well, safety isn't just about how people are treating you on the outside, right? Safety isn't just about, knowing that you'll have enough money. Safety isn't just about that. Safety is really about how you feel on the inside. And so the question is, how can you make yourself feel safe without doing things for other people, without overgiving? So one of the things that I teach my clients for that is that safety, true safety, is really based on self-trust. And so if you trust yourself to be there for yourself when things get hard, if you trust yourself if somebody else is criticizing you, if somebody else gets mad at you for saying no to them, then if you trust yourself to say, you know what, it's okay. I'm allowed to disappoint this person. It's okay. Or it's hard to disappoint this person, but I'm still going to love myself and be kind to myself, and I'm not going to get down on myself. I'm not going to let the inner critic win, right? If you trust yourself to show up in your life on your own side, then you will feel safe, and you won't be dependent on getting that safety from other people, right? But if you're somebody who is afraid of abandonment, and the only way you think that you could not be abandoned is by giving, so you're always needed by people, then of course you're going to overgive, right? So again, we're filling this reward of safety, but from the inside, and that safety comes from how you trust yourself. Similarly, you can get the reward of belonging from the inside and from the inner work you do, and the way you talk to yourself and the way you honor your emotions and express yourself. Similarly, you can get your needs met for self-esteem by the way you talk to yourself, be with yourself, express yourself, set boundaries, choose your life path, live your values, etc., etc. So I can't do a whole video here on how to get all these needs met on the inside, because that's, the entirety of my work, and I do long, big, deep work with clients around this technique. But really what I want you to focus on is just asking the one question: how can I get this need, whatever the reward is I'm getting from overgiving, how can I get that reward in a different way that isn't by giving, that is a new strategy? And ideally, I would love for you to consider how you can get that need met on the inside, how you can get belonging met on the inside, how you can get safety met on the inside. And if you're curious about what that might look like and how you can do that, then please stay till the end, because I'm going to give you a really, really exciting opportunity to book a call with me and learn more about what that would really personally look like for you in your life. Now, when you meet these needs yourself, then your old strategies of getting these rewards and needs met are going to naturally fall away. And this is the only process that I have ever found will really, really work for you in terms of changing your limiting behaviors like overgiving in the long term. So a lot of people will tell you, stop overgiving. Just know your worth. Just stand up for your needs. Just set boundaries. And in my experience, those are nice things to say, but it's just not that easy. Because you might be changing your behavior on the outside, but you're not changing what you really feel and what you believe on the inside. And so you end up having all of these unmet emotional needs and all of these negative thoughts, even if you're setting boundaries on the outside or if you stop overgiving. And that just makes you feel terrible. And so eventually you want to stop feeling terrible. And so you go back to trying to get those emotional needs met, right? And trying to go back to that comfort zone of overgiving because that was the only way you could feel good on the inside. And so this is why we're really shifting on the inside first to how you relate to the idea of getting safety, how you relate to the idea of getting belonging, how you relate to the idea of self-esteem. We're changing this on the inside so that you can meet these modes psychologically and emotionally within yourself, and that will naturally help change your behavior. But in my experience, at least the big-hearted nurturers that I tend to work with, they're just not very good at saying, all right, well, I'm just going to start saying no and stop overgiving, and that's going to be it. Right? And so this is why I think people really need this kind of deep inner work and inner support, and why it's really going to serve you too, to really go inside, understand the rewards that you're getting from overgiving, and how to give yourself those rewards on an emotional and psychological level before you force the behavior change. That behavior change will happen naturally once your inner world has changed. Step 4 for eliminating overgiving is developing your vision of joyful giving. So, I want you to ask yourself some questions to develop this vision. First, when do you really want to give? Develop some criteria for that question. So, for example, you might think about, like I did, well, I want to only give to people who give to me. And not people who give to me only after I give to them, but people who give to me genuinely out of the generosity and goodness of their heart, right? Like people who enjoy being in reciprocal relationship, not people who are victims, or people who consider themselves victims, right? Or people who consider themselves to be, always, out of luck and things like that. I don't always love giving to those people because they never, ever seem to reciprocate. They just take more and more. So for me, I've had to be very, very careful in terms of developing this vision of saying, well, I'm only really going to give most of my energy to people who can also reciprocate, and then maybe 20% of my giving to people who are in even more vulnerable places in their lives, right? And don't even feel like they're in the position to reciprocate. That's for me personally. What's your standard? Another standard for me of joyful giving is around giving only when I have my cup filled. And so what that means is that I will, if somebody needs something from me and I'm exhausted or tired or overworked, I am not going to give. And I'm going to wait until my cup is filled. Right? Now, sometimes I might even be intentional about saying, hey, it really is important to me that I can show up for this person. So let me go get my cup filled so that I can really show up for this person, not from exhaustion or depletion or resentment or obligation or sorrow or pity for them, but just a genuine loving to be there for this other being, right? And knowing that I can be that really fully when my cup has been filled itself. So what are your criteria for when and who and how you give? Develop those that would feel joyful, energizing, light, and unattached to the response. That's how you know it's going to be joyful. And the second part of that joyful vision is around coming up with tangible ways for you to say no, but still be compassionate. So I know a lot of the people I work with, my clients, are very big-hearted people. They really, really care about the state of the world and how other people are doing. And even if they are depleted, they want other people to feel great and to feel good and to feel cared for. And I get that. I am that way too. And so for me, what that meant, though, was that I had to find a way that I could be compassionate for people and care for people and let them know that they're nurtured, even while giving myself to say permission when I needed permission to do so. And so for me, there was a couple things that came through. One was just being able to say to this person, hey, I really care about this need of yours or this thing that you're asking for, and I really wish I could show up for you right now, but unfortunately, it's just not possible now. Here's when and how it will be possible. So getting them to know it's going to come in the future. Other times I've thought about I can say no by, just telling them no, but really going into my heart and saying a prayer for this person and really sending them good energy of love from myself and my heart and the universe. Other times I've thought about, well, maybe I can call somebody else who's a joint ally who might be able to help them in a way that I currently don't have the capacity to do so. So I want you to develop some ways that you can say no, but still feel like a compassionate and nurturing human. This is all going to be part of your vision of being a joyful giver and not an overgiver. And the fifth and final step for stopping all that overgiving and getting back into balance is to share your vision of joyful giving with the other people in your life. So I want you to let the people in your life know as a policy that you're making these changes to the way you typically relate with them and to them out of love for your relationship, right? So when I was first setting boundaries in one of the relationships with my family members, and I wanted a bit of a break from that relationship because I felt like that person was just filled with so much negativity every time I spoke to them that I was just drowning in it. I was really, really getting off those calls feeling so depleted, and it would last for days, and I started resenting this person a lot. Like, no matter how much love or positivity or perspective I ever tried to give, it was just met with real intense negativity and victimhood and excuses. And so I actually had to set a boundary of how much I was going to talk to that person and that was hard because, again, it came up against me being not a nurturer or me, all of these judgments. But I had this vision of what joyful giving was. And so I realized that, wow, I'm actually going to love this family member so much better when I'm giving to them and when I feel full, and when I actually look forward to a conversation with them, and when I have the energy to help hold space for the incredible negativity that person is currently going through. So I told her right off the bat, hey, I am creating this boundary. I'm only going to be talking to you once every few weeks because that's actually going to help me to love you more, to be able to show up with all this negativity and these challenges that you want us to talk about with a wholer heart, with more resilience and more energy. And so I want you to know that this is what I'm changing, and I'm changing it out of love for our relationship long term. And you're going to have to do that with your friends, with your family, with your romantic partner, whoever you're changing with. You want to tell them ahead of time that you are changing this relationship for your long-term love, okay? So you want to share that. And then the second thing is, of course, when that person starts to have some reactions to your changes in behavior, they might be used to you doing all these things for them, whether it's your clients or your boss or your friends or your family. They might be used to you doing all of these things from them that you're not doing all of a sudden. And they might have reactions. They might absolutely have reactions. And so in that place of reaction for them, I invite you to really say to them, hey, remember I shared with you this vision I had of us being able to be in a long-term positive relationship because I'm going to show up in this much more balanced way. And it's really going to benefit both of us because of it. And I understand it's hard for you to make these changes. So you're allowed to have the feelings you have. You're allowed to have the reactions you have. But you really stick to what your vision is, knowing that it's good for long-term love. And then, you say to this person, I understand it's going to take a little bit for us to get used to it. It's okay if we have a little trouble in the meantime as we get used to these new boundaries between us, and that's okay. But if that person absolutely refuses to let you come into a different role with them, to let you have boundaries, to let you say no, if they do abandon you, if they do stop loving you, if they do tear you to shreds every time that you set that boundary, then guess what, darling? You're in the wrong relationships. And that is a really important knowing for you to have, because that person never loved you. That person never really respected you. That person has you in their life because of what you give to them and what you do for them, and not because of who you are. And the only way you can really feel good in your life in the long term and feel fulfilled in your relationships is by being in relationships with people who love you for who you are, and not just what you give them. So just know that it's going to take time. You share your map with them. You share your vision of this more balanced, more joyful way of giving, right? You let them know that it's going to take a little bit of awkwardness in the transition, and you'll both hold space for that. And if they refuse to show up, you make your exit strategy super, super clear so that you can bring this new vision of giving into newer relationships, whether that be at work or at home, so that you can be more fulfilled, be more whole, and finally receive a lot of that awesome love that you give to the world. Okay, so I hope that this was a helpful video for you. You might need to watch it a few times so that you can really go through those 5 steps in depth. But I definitely invite you to get on that call with me that you're about to hear about now, because I am going to show you exactly how you can do this in your own life. So stay tuned for next week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Because you watched my class, you qualify for a complimentary Breakthrough to Joy call with me. We're going to meet one-on-one on Zoom and dive deep into your psyche and into your life together. And I'm going to show you how you can create more joy and fulfillment from the inside out, no matter how stressed you feel or disconnected. Even if you consider yourself a super caring, conscious person, I'm going to show you the specific joy-limiting beliefs and behaviors that you might not be seeing yourself and the steps to overcome them. All you need to do is click on the link below to book your free Breakthrough to Joy call with me right now. I'll talk to you soon. Mwah!